I'm in Shenandoah National Park, and this is the upper parking lot for the Stony Man hike. So it's going to be a short hike, just a couple miles. Over there's the horse trail. I'm going to go up on the horse trail and come back on the AT. Here's the parking lot. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, so on a Monday, so there's hardly anybody here. It's a pretty good sized lot. The Skyland Resort's right down that road. And over here is hard to tell, but that's blue. That's my new RAV4. I got to think of a name for this vehicle. I think I might call it the Blue Bomber. So the Gray Ghost had a little problem. So now we got the Blue Bomber. We're going to close up the Bomber and head over here and start climbing up to the Stony Man Summit. The elevation here is 3680. Alright, so there's the parking lot, and here's the signpost for the horse trail, and we're going to start climbing the mountain this way. Here's part of the horse trail. You can see that yellow blaze on that tree. That's yellow is horse trails. Maybe you can see this is all dished out, part of an old wagon road, looks like to me. Heading up towards the top. Might have had something to do with the copper mine that was up here. Three-tenths of a mile into my hike. I'm up to 3,800 feet. That's where I came from, up the horse trail from the parking lot. And when you get to this signpost, you can I'm gonna take a left and continue on up the horse trail up towards the summit. If you go straight, you'll end up running into the Appalachian Trail over there. I'm going to take that on the way back down. But for now, let's take a left and continue on up the horse trail. So this second section of the horse trail looks like it was also part of the wagon road. See how dished out it is here? And you got rocks stacked up left and right to armor it up. Half a mile into my hike, I'm up to 3920. There's no signpost here, but this is another intersection. That trail over there to the right is blazed blue, so that's the foot trail to the summit. But I'm going to continue on to the left here. This one's not blazed, but if that's the blue, this must be the yellow, the horse trail. So we'll just continue on up the horse trail, and then we'll come back on one of these blue blaze trails. But for now, let's keep heading towards the summit. 6/10 of a mile into my hike. I'm up to 3960. And this is a little observation point. The trail's over there behind those rocks. That's the trail up to the summit. The summit's over there. We'll be heading there. This is looking to the west, down towards Luray and Stanley. That dip in the mountain straight ahead is New Market Gap. US 211 goes over the mountain right there. And over here, those cleared out areas that you see, that's part of the Skyland Resort. All in through there. Note to myself, I think I called this waypoint Horse Trail number 2. Probably should change it to indicate that it's an observation point, a viewpoint. So let's head on up to the summit this way. Seven-tenths of a mile into my hike. The elevation here is 3970, and this is the Stony Man Summit. The trail's back there. There's some pools of water up here that I'm sure the birds and other animals take advantage of. Here's one there. And here's another look. That's Luray, Virginia down there. I think that reservoir is called Arrowhead Lake. Luray and New Market Gap's out there in the distance. Stanley's over this way. And Skyland Resort over there. And the last video I shot was over behind those rocks there. So I'll get some stills. Our rock slide area. See all that stuff? Yeah, rattlesnake heaven up here. There's a bird that came, probably looking for the water. Let's see what happens. just back from the summit, maybe 50 yards or so, is this log rail. You can hitch your horses up here. If you're riding on horseback, you'll be coming up that trail. That's the Yellow Blaze Trail. And you'll hit this little intersection. That's the way to the summit. Here's where you park your horses. And the blue trail is a kind of a loop. Comes up this way, goes back this way, or vice versa. I'm going to head back this way. I may take a look and see if I can find the old Stony Man benchmark. Again, I found it before up here, so we'll go past that, and I'll show you a jumping off point if you want to go try and find the copper mine. Nine-tenths of a mile into my hike. The elevation here is at 4,000 feet. I'll have to look up the exact elevation of this benchmark, but here's the Stony Man benchmark. It looks like it's dated 1928. I'll get a few stills. It's way up here on a big pile of rocks, like a little mountain. The highest spot, of course. So we'll say that we found that again. I thought this rock formation looked familiar, and here it is. So I'll get a few stills of it, and then we'll move on. Nine-tenths of a mile into my hike. The elevation here is 3960. And this is a real sharp bend in the road. That's where I came down from the summit and the benchmark. And there's a sharp bend in the road right here. And this is the jumping off point. You can almost tell people have been walking down that way. If you follow that trail down that way, it'll take you to the copper mine. One more thing about the copper mine. I called up the coordinates from standing here at the jumping off point, and my GPS is telling me it's about 400 feet from here in that direction, and the bearing is 064 magnetic. .1 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 3,840 feet. And this is the intersection with the Appalachian Trail. There's where I came from, down that Blue Blaze. And the AT makes a dog leg turn here. There's one piece of it, of the AT. And then it comes up here and it makes a hard left and heads down to the parking lot where my car's parked. So I'm going back that way, but first I'm gonna go head this way on the AT about 400 or 500 feet. Hope if there's not too much vegetation, I'm going to show you where the old road is, abandoned road is that leads to the mine. .2 miles into my hike. The elevation here is 3,830. I've been descending just a little bit. There's the AT right there. I just stepped off of it. I'm about 20-30 feet in. And this is a jumping off point for the mine road. The mine road is basically that wall there that you see. I'll get some better pictures, some stills, and I'll make some markings on it. It's very hard to see in the summertime because it's all overgrown, but it heads up there behind those trees, and you can follow it in for quite a ways. It's very hard to follow in some places though. But if you manage to track it all the way in, you will find the copper mine. One of your key points here though is this swamp zone here. Every time I come by here, there's this swampy area here. It looks kind of dug out here, and maybe it was, but that's the road up there. Like I said, I'll get some stills and get it from a couple different angles. Note to myself, I'm going to adjust the coordinates of my jumping off point slightly. Okay, I crawled up here a little bit. I know this doesn't look like a road, but it is. If you come back here in the wintertime, you'll see that it's a road. A lot of trees blown across it, and nobody's cleared them because it's abandoned. But that's the road right there. Come back in the winter and you'll find it. And the distance from here to the copper mine is about 0.17 miles, and the straight line bearing is 005 magnetic. Now, one thing to keep in mind if you're going to follow this road is when you get to spots where the road disappears, that's because it's just been washed out. That's where your topo maps can help, because roads have a tendency to follow the contour lines. So use that as one of your hints. If you run out of visible road, then hike along a contour of constant elevation and you'll eventually pick the road back up again, okay? And just for reference, right down there is the swamp zone. Maybe you can see the glitter of the water, and right over there's the AT. So people walk by this all the time, don't know what it is. This is a short distance off the trail where that mine road is that I showed you. I'll have to check to see if camping's allowed up here. This is really nice up through here. I kind of doubt that it's allowed because I don't see any evidence of camping up here. There probably was once upon a time though. See how cleared out this all is? Nice, really nice. And then the AT is over there. So here's the parking lot. My car's over there. But before I go over there, just by way of general interest, this mark right here is a gravity control mark. It's marked Skyland B. I'll have to look it up. Looks like 1999. And this is one of a number of these things that run from here all the way down to Dulles Airport, all different elevations. It's called the Blue Ridge Calibration Line, BRCL. Most of them say BRCL and a number, but this one says Skyland B since it's at the end of the line. But the purpose of these is the gravity of the Earth has been measured very precisely at this point. So these are used, the people that have gravity meters, you come up here and you set your gravity meter on top of this thing, and then you can look up in a database what the Earth's gravity is here, and then you can use that to adjust the calibration of your meter. This is a map of today's hike. It's two quadrangle maps taped together. The left side is Big Meadows, 1994. And the right side is Old Rag Mountain, 1994. And this was a short hike to the summit of Stony Man. This is Skyline Drive. It's about mile marker 42. You come into the Skyland Resort right here, and as soon as you come in, just turn right into this large parking lot right here. This is the Stony Man parking lot. Now there's two ways to get up to the summit. So I went up one way and came down the other. The pink is the way I went up. This is the horse trail. Come on up the horse trail. When you get to here, there is a viewpoint right there. Then you continue on up the trail to the summit, which is right here. Got some shots up at the summit. Then on the way down, I came down the green route. I came down this way, jumped off the trail here to check out the Stony Man benchmark, then back onto the trail to here. Now this is where I stopped, where I called a jumping off point. If you head into the wilderness up there from here over to here, this is where the old copper mine was. So you can bushwhack over to that if you like. There's another way to get there I'll show you in a second. Then continued on down this way. When you get to here, you run into the AT. This is the AT, and then this is the AT also heading up this way. Right, let's see, right there, I pointed out that this is the old road, old abandoned road, that heads over to the mine, like that. You can see this part here in the wintertime, and then when you get about halfway over there, it's all washed out, I guess, from just the weather. But if you follow along a constant elevation contour, you'll eventually pick up the road again back in here, and then it makes a loop like this over to the copper mine. It's an open pit type where they just dug into a huge rock formation. Then I came back and went back to the parking lot this way. When I got back down to the parking lot, I also stopped and showed that gravity station that's down there in the parking lot marked Skyland B. Ended up being a fairly short hike, 1.8 miles, and with a total ascent of 325 feet. Oh, before I sign off, let me just show you the old map. Stony Man, 1929. And you'll notice it says Old Copper Mine, and there is a couple of pickaxes crisscrossed right there on this map. So there's the mine. You can get the approximate coordinates of the mine off this map. And that was the hike for today.